After a couple of episodes and a few headaches, I finally got this raid farm behind me done at the end of my last episode, and I've been doing some AFKing here between episodes, and I've gathered quite a few resources that I'm very happy about, and I do think this was probably worth the effort. I've already taken all the emeralds and the redstone away. I've come here to take all the gunpowder. There is a double chest and 2 rows of gunpowder back here. So that is a lot of gunpowder. That will last us for a really long time. There's quite a bit of glowstone. I've already turned some of it into glowstone blocks down below. So definitely a lot of glowstone there. There is a ridiculous number of sticks. I don't think we ever need any more sticks ever again. I might actually turn that filter off because I don't need any more sticks than that. And then we've also got quite a bit of glass bottles. I think it's just the double chest right there. So I'm going to leave these here for now. I'm just going to take all this gunpowder. I'm going to take it over to our Obsidian Bank. The Obsidian Bank is a community storage building back at spawn that anybody can come and take whatever they want. It started with just obsidian, thus the name, but we've expanded it to have quite a few new items, and gunpowder is the newest addition to that list. And this actually has a shulker box sorter up above, and so I've already set up the filter for gunpowder, and I picked a spot over here. So all I got to do is add all the gunpowder to this chest over here, and it will get automatically sorted into that filter over there. And as you can see, I've already added emerald blocks to this, and that is an awful lot of emerald blocks. That first light means that we're all the way up into the second chest already. We have over 100,000 emerald blocks there, and I've also brought some more back to my base. Back at my base, I made sure to save some of these resources for myself. I am completely loaded up on emerald blocks, as well as gunpowder. I already had quite a bit of this gunpowder already, but completely loaded up there. Unfortunately, we don't have enough redstone to load up the Obsidian Bank with just yet. I've got 5 shulker boxes of redstone blocks up here. I've also got 2 rows of redstone dust down here, and I did share 2 shulker boxes of redstone blocks with Astazora for all his help on the farm. So definitely a lot of redstone. I would certainly like more, but that should hold me for quite a while. With that out of the way, it's time to build some Nether roadways. I've been putting it off for too long. I mentioned it in my world tour video. It's been an inconvenience, and I've just been overthinking it. That's been the problem. I've been trying to come up with this Nether roadway idea that covers all the bases, covers every possible way you want to travel, and it's just too much. I wanted to have a roadway that had soul sand pathways and ice pathways so that you could ride a boat, and that's not going to happen. Like, nobody's actually going to ride a boat, especially to the closer locations. It's not worth the effort, I don't think. 95, 97% of the time, we're going to fly right over these roadways, but they're going to be a nice path that'll show us where we need to fly. The rest of the time will probably be because we ran out of rockets, and then a soul sand pathway with our soul speed boots will be pretty convenient. And then the 0.1% of the time where we died somewhere inconvenient and need to go one way or another in order to get our stuff back, we're just going to have to walk next to the pathway. And there's not going to be boats. There are some cases, like Astazora's new Nether Hall, it's about 2,000 blocks away. An ice path actually might make sense for that. That would actually save us a lot of rockets if we use the ice path instead of flying. So that might be an option. And that's something I'll definitely consider. But for things that are closer, it's just not worth the effort. And I don't think it will ever get used. And it'll just take up a lot of space and take up a lot of time building it for something nobody's really ever going to use. So I'm just going to stick to some soul sand pathways. I just got a bunch of soul sand. And now we do need to make sure that these are non-spawnable. So I'm going to have to figure out something like that. Right now, I'm thinking carpet. And I also want to decorate them and make them look nice. So let's see what we can do. Let's just try, instead of overthinking it, I think it's time to just try something out. So the one pathway I want to start with is to our gold farm. I always get lost heading the wrong direction. That's the one farm that I have the most trouble getting to. So I'm going to figure out whatever the angle is to get us there perfectly. I'm going to build a soul sand pathway in that direction, and then we'll figure out how we can decorate it from there. So here's what I've come up with so far, and I think I like it quite a lot. So these stairs and this edge here are always going to be exactly the same for every pathway, no matter what. And it's always going to be against bedrock, so I think black's a good color. And blackstone is something we have a lot of because of bartering. And then the pathway themselves we're going to make them distinct by picking 2 different colors. I didn't want to just do a solid color because that would be kind of boring. So I did 2 different colors and I used a randomizer. So it's just a random 2 colors all the way through. So I think that's pretty nice. We picked yellow and orange for the gold farm. I think that's pretty appropriate right there. And then we've also got these beacons here, which give us speed 1. Speed 1's the best I could get because these are actually dug into the bedrock down here. So we come down here. This part actually took quite a bit of work. These 2 beacons right next to each other, because I couldn't actually break these ones right here because they'd be exposed. So I also had to dig a block lower because I wanted the glass on top of it. This is quite a lot of digging, so I only wanted to do this once for every pathway, and I think I'm fine with doing it once for every pathway, but you'll notice that the rest of these, we've only got 1, and that's actually quite a bit easier. Let's go over there. Let's fix this up. And that one's quite a bit easier to dig out. So that one's just like a 3x3 that we dig out the beacon for. So if we come down in here, there's just a 3x3 with a beacon in it. And this one's actually pretty easy to dig into the bedrock. So I like this quite a bit. We were thinking, you know, of different ways we might get. I was hoping, and I didn't end up being realistic, that I would be able to put a full beacon underneath there, but the full beacon, all of that is bedrock and it gets wider as it goes. Like, it would take so much work to put a whole beacon in there. So we're just going to have to deal with speed 1, and that will have to do for now. I think it's still pretty decent. It's still, like, it's very satisfying to run on this. So I like these pathways quite a bit. And like I said, most of the time we're just going to end up flying anyways. So actually the beacons help keep your direction quite a bit. Because first of all, if I'm coming from a base and I know where I'm going, there's going to be just a few sets of beacons for each pathway, and I can clearly see the direction I need to go, and then I can fly that way. And then we've got the nice beacon trail that even if I fly too high and I can't see the roadway anymore, I've still got beacons, and then we're going to keep on going. I've got quite a bit more to go. I think I'm about a third of the way so far. I just wanted to get this idea down and see if I liked it, and I think I do quite a bit. So now I think it's time to finish up this pathway after I kill myself a piglin. And there we have it. The full path is done all the way down to the gold farm. I really like how this looks quite a bit. It's pretty cool. We can just keep on going. It's actually not that far of a journey, but it did take me a little bit to actually get all this laid out. I'm going to have to take a little break before I break more bedrock. I'm going to try and get another pathway at least started in this episode. But before I do that, I want to work on some other things. So we're at the gold farm right here. I want to actually change out the storage. It looks like Astazor is actually AFKing here right now. So I want to change out the storage. We're using the old crafting system. I just came up with a new crafting system. It's a little bit faster, and you know, it does actually add up over a whole bunch of shulker boxes. Man, look at this thing go. So I want to swap out this crafting system for my newer, smaller, faster crafting system. I also want to change all this storage over. I want to set something up right on top of the crafting system that has some lights that lets us know how many items are in all the chest up above. So that shouldn't actually take too long, and then we'll head back to my base. And there we have it. I think this is actually a much nicer looking system too. We've got all the chests behind all there. We got some lights so we can tell at a glance how many items are in there. You can actually come right through the portal, see how many items are in there, drop right down and start crafting right away. We've got a roof to keep the phantoms away while we're crafting, and I really like this crafting system. It is much faster than the other one. I mean, it's a little bit faster. It's just that the shulker box is always there by the time you go to get it. So that's pretty nice. So looks like it's working so far. So we'll craft these into gold blocks for Astazora. He's got quite a bit of crafting ahead of him. I'll leave that all to him. He probably wants to play with the crafting system anyways. And we'll shove these in here for now. And then, yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this. This is a nice looking system. Well, I AFK'd this farm overnight, and there is a lot of gold up here, but then I ran into a problem immediately when I tried to craft the gold. And I didn't notice the problem when I was setting it up in creative because I didn't load up the whole thing with items. It turns out that this comparator right here, powering this block right here, is quasi-powering the piston down below. Oh, that is... Quasi, you are a fickle master. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about this. Let me test some things to see if I can figure something out. This is a little bit frustrating. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much that I can do about this directly, because if I replace this with a glass block or a slab or something like that, then I need a repeater to go across it. And then it's going to power 3 lamps instead of 1, which is obviously not what I want. That is the reason I was using a solid block in the first place. But unfortunately, that will quasi-power the piston. No matter what, if I've got a powered solid block right there, it's going to quasi-power the piston, and that's going to be an issue. And if I use redstone dust, that's even worse, because we're still getting 3 lamps, but that will also quasi-power the piston down below. And I've even got the same problem on the other side, where this lamp right here is going to quasi-power this piston right here. So I don't have enough room for a cauldron piston setup or anything like that, or a piston redstone block setup. Obviously, a redstone block would also quasi-power the piston down below. So I think the only option is to move the storage all up 1 block. Ugh. Well, I've got that change all done. Not much of a noticeable difference here. The main difference is the water channel is now a block higher. So we had glass on top of it because this is obviously a frozen biome. And so the water would freeze if we didn't cover it. So we had to put iron trapdoors that are waterlogged in the water. And that is up at build height right now. So I don't know if iron trapdoors are spawnable. I know they used to be. I don't think they are anymore. And I'm also not sure if blocks at world height are spawnable, but I might have to keep an eye on that. If we start getting mobs spawning up there, I'll have to put some lights up there somewhere, but I'd rather not have to if I don't have to. So the other change I've made is that we had some issue where the hoppers were being held and it wasn't working quite right. Like every once in a while it would let a few gold nuggets through, and then these are automatically sent over into the storage over here. So I'd have to pick the gold nuggets out. It was very annoying. So I went with soul sand, the same basic setup I use in all my other accessible loaders. And I know I've tested it. It works 100% of the time. So I like this solution a lot better. So yeah, I've been testing it out and it works great. And I haven't had any problems with this new system whatsoever. So yeah, this one should be all done. Oh, and I ended up crafting 9 shulker boxes of gold blocks. Wow. The next thing I want to work on is this brewery building right here. I made some pretty major changes to it a couple episodes ago where I turned it into a shulker box loading potion brewery station for each one of these. But I had a problem where the shulker box loader was occasionally losing some shulker boxes, and that actually makes it a pretty bad shulker box loader. So I've made some changes and I want to change that all around. And also, I promised that I would eventually come up with a building for this. And I've actually done that this time, and I think it's a pretty nice building. So let's get all that built. I ended up moving the shulker box loader forward 1 block so that I could get a piston above the shulker box and crush it that way, and that system worked a lot better. And I also accidentally added a 7th brewing station on each side in creative, and then once I set the building up around it, I was kind of stuck with that. It doesn't fit well on the island. I'll have to make adjustments, but still it's nice having the extra brewing station. Because of the rounded shape of the building, I decided it kind of looked like an airplane hangar, and that was what I wanted to try and use for the design. It took me some work to get there though, because the proportions were strange. It's very tall, not very wide, and the bottom floor wasn't very tall at all. But in the end, I think I came up with something that definitely comes off as an airplane hangar. And I ended up having the water bottle filling component of the thing protruding out a little bit, so I decided I wanted to make that an air control tower. I think that one turned out pretty well as well. So it ended up a bit bigger than I had intended. It's pretty close to this blast building right here, which I think is mostly fine. I wanted to have a pathway between these, but it's fine that there's not going to be. But it's also super close to this. This is my nether wart building, and it's just kind of like really in there pretty tight. And the fact that we've got a hangar here kind of doesn't make any sense, which I was initially kind of fine with, but it's funny because we've got a plane over here, which I added a plane, and that's fun. I love this plane. But there's no runway. There's nowhere for the actual plane to get out of the hangar, and the tower here is blocked on one of its views. It can't see in that direction because there's a building right there. So I think at some point in the fairly near future, this is a pretty good nether wart farm, but it's not super efficient. Like, it's not large enough that once you harvest everything and then you come back through and you loop the second time, most of the stuff hasn't regrown yet. So you're kind of wasting about half of the efficiency that could be possible at least. So I think I actually want to remove this building. I'll probably AFK it for a little while, get a few shulker boxes, another rack, and then tear it down. And then I think what would look really nice is a runway right where it is, running off the edge over here. I think that would be really awesome. And I don't have much that's just purely decorative on this whole island. And I think that'd be pretty neat. And then we can make a bigger one of these, a bigger nether wart farm at some point. We can either put it here or we can find somewhere else not on my base to put it. So I think that would be a pretty good idea. I'm going to say that for a later date, but those are some ideas that I've come up with based on this. But I really like this hangar. I think it turned out really, really well. There was a moment when I was building it when it kind of looked like a barn and not a hangar. And so I added the forklift here to kind of like help it along to make it look more like a hangar. I don't think it looks anything like a barn anymore. I think it looks exactly like a hangar. I think it looks great. And I really just like the look of this this forklift here, so I kept it along because it's a really cool forklift. And I also just added the plane just cause wasn't required to make it look like. I like that I actually added stairs so that I can get in it and I can like sit in the cockpit. And yeah, that's pretty fun. And if we come on in, I've tested it all out and it's working. And so we didn't have much left to brew. Oh, it's not working. It's still going. Oh, okay. No, it's still going. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, this one's still going. I only had a few potions. Most of the potions I have a ton of, but Astazora came and took some of my healing potions to heal some piglins. So it was a good excuse to brew some more up. Then we come up here and we've got the upstairs where I can actually set up the actual brewery, add the items and stuff like that. So that works really well. And I actually had this, I'll probably have to go into spectator mode so you can see this well. I forgot about this row of hoppers that was going right across the window, and I didn't put that in my creative design, and I'm like scrambling in creative trying to find some way to not have a row of windows running across the hopper because this is for the water bottles and I didn't want to have two water bottle setups. So I actually ended up finding this is an item elevator and it actually pulls from the top. Whenever the top is full, the item elevator stops. So it'll actually take a bunch if we ever run out of water bottles, but that's fine. I want to know if I'm out of water bottles, and normally it should just always have water bottles in it completely. So that works really well, and you can barely, like if I hadn't pointed it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed the row of hoppers up there, and these droppers look pretty good. I'm really proud with that design. It's probably not practical for most other things, but it was just kind of like this cool, I have a problem, I'm not sure how to fix it, and I came up with that idea, and it works really well in that specific instance, and that's fantastic. And then we got our air control tower over here, and there's actually this is the only way in. Is you gotta come here, and there's a little door, and we can climb up, and I actually added air control stuff. So we've got little computers and stuff like that. So this is kind of fun, and you can see out over the island and everything like that. So this is really fun. I like this quite a bit. There's no real reason to go up there. It's just kind of another decorative thing. So yeah, I just think this looks fantastic. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Think it's time to get back to doing some more nether pathways because it needs to get done. It really does. I was going to do this pathway right here. It's about 200 blocks. It leads down to the desert, but there's another pathway that's like it's just a little bit to the left that goes down to the Wither skeleton farm, and that's another area that's hard to reach. But I think I want to call an audible. I want to do a different one because I want to do something else as well. So we got this pathway. It actually doesn't go that very far. It's not going to take very long to set up this pathway because it only goes a few hundred blocks and it goes to our end portal. But I also want to fix this up because I've been sitting on it a while and it's a catastrophe. It's just an absolute mess. And so I want to do something with this as well and do the pathway in the nether. So let's start with this, and then it shouldn't take too long to actually set up the pathway, but let's clean up this mess. This is a fairly simple design, but I think it's got a really nice atmospheric element to it. And I liked that it gave me an excuse to finally clean up the end portal without having to put a whole lot of thought into the design. I just wanted an excuse to clean it up. And I think this is definitely a lot cleaner than what it was. I think it looks pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with this. Now that I've done this, obviously, if we want to do any shenanigans with the end portal, then I'm going to have to find another end portal to do that. I don't have anything planned right now, but this is me. Eventually, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up happening, and that's fine. I like having this nice clean one, and then maybe at some point in the future, we'll come back and do something fancier, but I just wanted to clean it up. It was a big old mess, and I think this looks pretty nice. I've got a little more time before I've got to finish editing this video and get it out. So let's see how much of this pathway we can get done here. Well, looks like I'm actually going to be able to finish it. I've been getting pretty fast at breaking this bedrock, and this one isn't very long, so it didn't take me very long to do that. So the last thing I have to do is lay out the carpet here. And if you're wondering, Tweakaroo has a randomizer. If you go into the tweak hotkeys, go under random, you can set a hotkey for it. And if you go under generic and you look for random, you can set the number of slots that it uses. So I just set it to the first 2 slots, and then I turn it on, and once I place it, it will pick a random block. There it goes. So yeah, this works pretty well. Ends up looking really nice. And you could use it for more blocks as well if you wanted a nice random effect on anything. And then down here at this end, I've changed up this portal as well. Instead of that big giant portal, I figured I'd do something kind of nice. I might come back and touch this up a little bit. It's not super glamorous or anything like that. I just wanted to lay something out, get it done so it's not just a regular portal, and then I might try and make it a little bit fancier at some point in the future, but I think it looks pretty nice. And the pathway, actually, I'm not super sure about the magenta. It looks pretty good on the beacon lights, but I'm not super sure about the carpet. I might swap that, but that won't take too long. So I might have to experiment with that a little bit, but I think it's good for now, and I might come back and change both of those things at some point in the future. So yeah, not a very long pathway, but I think that's a definite improvement at the very least. I actually got quite a bit done this episode. I'm really happy with that, both from a technical standpoint and from a design standpoint. We got quite a bit done. I got 2 new nether pathways. That's been a long time coming. There's still more to do, but I think we're off to a really good start, and I think they look really, really good. And I broke tons of bedrock, just so much bedrock. I'll put in the link in the description. By the way, if you're interested of the methods that I use for bedrock breaking, I kind of glossed over that a little bit, but you know, I've done it quite a few times before. We got the gold farm, the storage on that has been upgraded. That's going to be very, very useful in the fairly near future. We got the end portal, that was a big old mess, and now I think it looks a lot better now. And then the brewery behind me, we got that all fixed. It's working better now. And we got ourselves a new hangar. And most importantly, I got myself an airplane I can sit in. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye now.